Listen carefully. Most aspirants will study the Moidams as a UNESCO site, an Ahom monument, or a burial mound. And that is exactly why they will miss the UPSC question. Because the Moidams are not merely tombs, they are engineered sacred geography. And modern UPSC increasingly loves these themes like landscape architecture, sacred ecology, ritual geography, funerary systems, and political cosmology. Today, we are not studying one UNESCO site, we are decoding how the Tai-Ahom transformed geography itself into political authority. This is the real story. Before we understanding the Moidams, we must first understand the civilization that created them. The Tai-Ahom entered present-day Assam in the 13th century under Prince Siukafa. They established their first capital at Charaido. And this is extremely important because Charaido was not merely an administrative capital or a military center. It became the sacred political heart of the Tai-Ahom world for nearly 600 years. From the 13th century to the 19th century, the Ahoms developed one of the most unique funerary landscape in South Asia. And this is where UPSC becomes most dangerous. UPSC will not merely ask who built the Moidams, it will ask like this: what larger worldview do the Moidams represent? That is real prelims mindset. Average students memorize Moidams is equal to burial mounds in Assam. But rankers ask, why did you Ahom redesign hills, forests, and water systems around funerary architecture? That single distinction separates information collectors from system thinkers. The Thai Ahom did not construct isolated tombs, they created sacred landscapes. The UNESCO description itself repeatedly emphasized that hills, forests, sacred trees, and water bodies and landscape integration. This is the sacred geography system. Now understand the deeper logic here. The Ahoms believed that political kinship, ancestral continuity, nature, and cosmology were interconnected. So instead of building standalone funerary structures, they engineered sacred ecological space. This is extremely important. Look carefully at the components here is sacred trees were planted, streams were channelized, water bodies were created, elevated terrain was selected, and mound architecture was integrated into the natural topography. This means the Moidam complex was simultaneously political as well as spiritual and ecological and architectural. So notice what UPSC just connected here: architecture, ecology, kingship, ritual system, and sacred geography into one integrated civilization framework. This is modern UPSC, not isolated art and architecture and art and culture facts, but interacting symbol systems. Now let us move to the most important prelims trap visually, that is, a Moidam looks similar to a mound or even a stupa. And this is exactly where UPSC can destroy superficial preparation. Because a Moidam is fundamentally different from a Buddhist stupa. Remember this forever. A stupa is solid, the Moidam is hollow. This is the single most important elimination point. The Moidam contains a hollow funerary vault. The UNESCO text explains that an earth mound was built over a hollow chamber. We constructed using brick, stone, or earth. This vault contained kings, royals, grave goods, horses, elephants, and sometimes even queens and attendants. Now compare this with a Buddhist stupa. What is stupa? A stupa is solid relic centered and inaccessible internally. But the Moidam is funerary architecture with an internal chamber system. Please look at in the slide. UPSC will assume that because both structures appear mound like externally, students will classify them identically. That is dangerous. This is why visual similarity is not equal to structural similarity. Modern UPSC increasingly tests architectural function, not visual appearance. What is the structural architecture of a Moidam? Now let us decode the complete structure. The Moidam consists of four major components. What are they? The earth mound, the hollow vault, the shrine structure, and the octagonal wall. What is the earth mound? Moidam. This is the outer mound structure. It integrates directly with the surrounding terrain, creating the illusion of a sacred hill. Again, landscape integration is central. We're coming to hollow vault, tuck. This is the funerary chamber constructed using with brick, stone, or earth. This chamber held remains, grave goods, royal objects, animals, and ritual materials. This is why the Moidam function as a royal necropolis. We are moving to the third part, that is the shrine structure, Chauchali. At the top of the mound stood a shrine structure. This is very important because the architecture was not merely burial oriented, it was spiritually symbolic. And we are moving to the fourth part, that is octagonal boundary, Gar. Now comes one of the highest yield prelims features. The Moidam was enclosed by an octagonal wall. Remember this carefully. UPSC loves geometric symbols, layout structures, and spatial design. When it comes to octagonal, the octagonal form symbolized the Thai universe itself. We are moving to the cosmology and the heaven earth continuum. What is this heaven earth continuum? Now we move from architecture into cosmology. What is the cosmology? At the top stood the Monklang. The UNESCO description explains this beautifully. The Monklang symbolized a golden ladder between heaven and earth. This is massive because now the Moidam is no longer just a burial site. It becomes a cosmological machine. The king does not merely die, the king transitions into sacred ancestral continuity. This is why the site represented a heaven earth continuum. Again, this is not simple structure and not simple architecture. This is political spirituality encoded into landscape. Remember this line for the examination. The Ahoms did not merely bury kings, they engineered a pathway between earth and eternity. What is the ritual continuity and living heritage? This is another extremely important UPSC angle. The Moidams are not dead archaeology. They remain connected to living ritual systems. What is the living ritual systems? Two major rituals continue: Me-Dam-Me-Phi, Tarpan. What is Me-Dam-Me-Phi? This is ancestor worship. This ritual reinforced dynastic continuity and sacred kingship and ancestral legitimacy. Again, the Ahom political system linked with governance with ritual continuity. This is Me-Dam-Me-Phi. And we are moving to the next ritual, that is Tarpan. What is Tarpan? This involves libation rituals. What is libation rituals? The continuity of these rituals is extremely important because UNESCO often values living intangible heritage linked with physical sites. UPSC may directly test you that ritual continuity, sacred traditions are living heritage practices. This is all about rituals. And we are moving to conservation and management. What is heritage governance? What is conservation and what is management? The site faces heavy rainfall, soil erosion, and vegetation growth. Again, environmental geography becomes linked to heritage preservation. The site is protected under ancient monuments and archaeological sites and remains Act. Assam Ancient Monuments and Records Act, Antiquities and Art Treasures Act. UPSC loves legal protection frameworks, so we have to remember these institutions. What is the management system here? This is also very important. The site is jointly managed by Archaeological Survey of India and Assam Directorate of Archaeology. Three committees oversees management. That that is those are state level apex committee, local level committee, and ministerial committee. Again, UPSC loves multi-layered governance architecture. Let me check with one question, that is UPSC pattern question. The question here like this: with reference to the Moidams of Tai-Ahom Dynasty, consider the following statements. The first statement is the Moidams are solid funerary monuments structurally similar to Buddhist stupas. And the second statement is the Moidams integrated funerary architecture with the surrounding landscape features such as hills, forests, and water bodies. And the third statement is the octagonal enclosure associated with the Moidams reflects the symbolic cosmological beliefs of the Tai-Ahom. And fourth and final statement, ritual practices associated with ancestor worship continue at the Charaido necropolis. Which of the statements given above are correct? Four statements. Let me check. with the statement by statement. For the statement number 1, that is false, because this is trap. Moidams are hollow funerary vault systems, not solid relic mounds like stupas. Stupas are solid relic mounds, but moidams are hollow funerary vault systems. So statements 2, 3, and 4 are all correct. The site explicitly integrates that sacred geography, cosmological symbolism, and continuing ritual practices. That is why option statement 2, 3, 4, that is option A, is correct answer. In UPSC 2026, the student who says moidams are tombs will struggle. But the student who understand moidams are landscape engineering of the school, moidams are landscape engineering of the soul will dominate. Let me repeat it again. In UPSC 2026, the student who says moidams are tombs will struggle. But the student who understands that moidams are landscape engineering of the soul will dominate. The Tai-Ahom did not merely construct a necropolis, they engineered hills, forests, water systems, geometry, and funerary architecture into a sacred sovereign landscape. This was not merely a burial, it was a political gateway between the Ahom state and the Tai universe. And in modern UPSC, do not merely study monuments. We have to study how civilizations encoded cosmology, power, ritual, and ecology into geography itself. Go master the system. Thank you and all the best for prelims 2026. This is one of the most important topic and ultra probable topic for prelims 2026. Thank you.